Talk 1580 is turning up the frequency in Black History Month. Be on the lookout for some familiar faces as the Metro K-Line is currently wrapped in KBLA Talk 1580. Make sure you visit the KBLA Talk 1580 online store, now open for business with all kinds of fresh merch. Don't miss a single episode of The Motivator, Les Brown's month-long radio residency. You've got to be hungry. Weekdays at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. And afternoons just got real. Real people, real talk, real issues, real solutions. Be sure to check out Areva Martin in real time on your way home, weekday afternoons from 4 to 6. Turning up the frequency all Black History Month long. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
KBLA Talk 1580, welcome back to the Friday edition of Areva Martin in Real Time. I'm Avi Bernard, recapping our top stories. 1 year after Russian President Vladimir Putin launched his invasion of Ukraine, believing he'd take Kyiv within days, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky struck a defiant note, insisting that he was certain his country would win the war. Zelensky said, quote, "Victory will be inevitable. I am certain there will be victory. We have everything for it. We have the motivation, certainty, the friends, the diplomacy. You have all come together for this. If we all do our important homework, victory will be inevitable," close quote. As a ferocious multi-day winter storm begins to subside, delivering heavy snow and ice to a large swath of the country this week, after leaving thousands without power in the Midwest, another storm is threatening rain and snow in the West Friday, prompting rare blizzard warnings in Southern California. In its first ever blizzard warning, the National Weather Service in San Diego said the San Bernardino County mountains could see 3 to 5 feet of snow through Saturday morning. And according to a new study, using marijuana every day can raise a person's risk of coronary artery disease, or CAD, by a third compared with those who never partake, according to a new study. A growing body of evidence suggests that cannabis is not entirely without harm and may actually cause cardiovascular disease. The study is from Stanford, has not yet been published, and it found that users were 34% more likely to be diagnosed with CAD than those who had never used the drug. People who only use weed once a month or less had no significant risk. And a new poll in California has Florida Governor Ron DeSantis leading Donald Trump. It captures the shifting conservative preferences ahead of a contested presidential primary. The Berkeley Institute of Governmental Studies released a poll today suggesting many conservatives are ready to move on from Trump and that DeSantis would be the Republican most likely to draw voters from him. The tally also contains grim news for Vice President Kamala Harris, as voters in the Democrats' home state remain tepid on her presidential prospects. I am very excited now to be bringing into the conversation a couple of reporters who are in South Carolina covering this Alex Murdaugh trial. It is from my vantage point, it looks like a circus, but I wanna bring in these gentlemen now because I'm just so interested in what's happening from over here across the country. Welcoming now national reporter at the New York Times, Nicholas Bogle-Burrows, and Hilton Head Island reporter with the Hilton Head Island Packet, South Carolina, Blake Douglas. Nicholas, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having us.
And Blake, thanks for being here.
Hey, Avi, appreciate it.
Of course. And I know you guys are so busy. Nicholas, I'm literally seeing your updates on the New York Times website all day. What is your first reaction to what you saw in the court today?
Yeah, well, every day is incredibly action-packed, and especially when you have the defendant testifying for 2 days in a row here. I think today the main takeaway was that prosecutors just hammered Alex Murdaugh over his timeline on the day of the murders. They tried to walk him through as specifically as possible when he says he went down to the dog kennels where the killings took place. And obviously that's, something new in this case is that he even admits being down there. He had lied for months and months after the murders about ever being at the dog kennels with his wife and son that night. Now that he's admitted that, I think prosecutors are trying to make a case to the jury that, why should you believe him now if he was telling this lie for so long? Obviously, Alex Murdaugh's lawyers are making an opposite case. They're saying, look, he's coming clean now. You should trust him and believe that he is being honest with you about what he's telling the truth about and what he's lying about or has been lying about.
And Blake, you are a reporter for Hilton Head Island Packet, and I know you're from originally Tulsa, but you are a reporter in South Carolina now. This is now your home state, whether you like it or not. So I wanted to have you on specifically because you cover South Carolina, and I know that we're going to be speaking to people. Our listeners are not all aware of exactly what this trial is about. They may have heard the name Alex Murdaugh, but they may not know exactly what happened. Can you just give us all a breakdown of what he's accused of and how he's accused of having murdered his wife and son?
Yeah, absolutely. This all started obviously on June 7, 2021, when Alex Murdaugh was accused of, on that night he found the bodies of his son Paul Murdaugh and his wife Maggie Murdaugh on the family's property known as Moselle. It's a 1,700-acre hunting property that they've owned since 2013. He found them dead, and if we're going by the story that he's been telling the jury, he called the police. He has no idea, when the killings took place or who could have done it. He spun a couple of suspicions, but he's not exactly come out and said, "Hey, I have very strong suspicions that these people did it." That night, he has claimed that the last time he saw them alive was at a family dinner, sometime between 7 and 8. And as you guys had heard, he had for a very long time, basically up until he took the stand in his own defense, denied ever being at the kennels. We now know that he was there around 8:45. The state claims that his family was killed around 8:50 or 9 o'clock. And then at 9:02 that night, he has maintained, and GPS data has shown, he left Moselle and visited his mother, who lived about 20 minutes away. And so really the big thing that people are having to grapple with and uncover is, okay, he has lied about being at the kennels. He said on the stand that he lied because he didn't necessarily trust SLED, and he was having paranoia induced by an opiate addiction. But it all depends on how effective he was at convincing the jury that is, in fact, why he didn't tell the truth.
And when we come forward, I want to get both of your takes, Nicholas and Blake, about him being a lawyer and how that might factor into, his ability to potentially manipulate the jury, and also the fact that he has now admitted to lying. I mean, I think, I feel like a lot of someone's defense is their character and their credibility, and he's admitted to various crimes, I believe. And so when we come forward, I want to get your take on that on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com. California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com.
At Mucinex, we don't believe in cold and flu season. We only believe in comeback season, which starts with 12-hour relief. Just one dose of Mucinex DM provides 12 hours of relief for cough and chest congestion day or night. That's 3 times longer than those 4-hour cough liquids. So say goodbye to cold and flu season and hello to comeback season with Mucinex DM. Nothing lasts longer among over-the-counter cold and cough medicine. Get relief that lasts with Mucinex DM. Use as directed.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is a firm that practices family law exclusively. We focus on only one area of the law to maximize our strength and effectiveness as advocates for clients that have everything on the line: their homes, retirement, savings, and most importantly, their children. We're the partner our clients count on. If we can be of help to you, give us a call.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's California area attorneys. 1455 Frazee Road, Suite 500, San Diego, California, 92108.
Lowe's always has more ways for you to save. On top of our everyday low prices, pros can save big when buying in bulk. Or if your purchase is over $1,500, ask about our volume savings program. A pro associate can provide a customized quote. Ask about our volume savings programs today. It always pays to be a pro at Lowe's. While supplies last, minimum purchase required. Selection varies by location. Lowe's reserves the right to limit quantities. Volume discount pricing quotes are valid up to 7 days. Visit your local pro desk to learn more and start saving. Offers subject to change and may not be available in all Lowe's stores.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Spilled your milkshake? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading Ordinary brand. So you can get back to your milkshake.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
There's no time like the present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Welcome back to the Friday edition of Areva Martin in real time. I'm Avi Bernard. We are joined by national reporter at the New York Times, Nicholas Bogle-Burrows, and Hilton Head Island reporter with the Hilton Head Island Packet, South Carolina, Blake Douglas. Thank you both for being here. And Nicholas, I feel like you are. Well, I don't feel like you are the New York Times go-to source for information on this trial. And I'm seeing your updates nonstop, and I just can't imagine how much time you're putting in working on this. And so I really appreciate you taking the time out to give us a call. And so I wanted to ask you, Mr. Murdaugh is a lawyer, and I believe he's a trial lawyer, correct?
Right. Well, he did a wide range of things. I'd say he mostly was a personal injury lawyer who would sometimes go to trial, a civil trial, but he did a range of things. He also volunteered with the local prosecutor's office for many years.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think his experience as a lawyer affects his ability to communicate with and or sway the jury?
Well, I think it certainly makes him more familiar with, what it means to be on the witness stand. And prosecutors tried to make the point today that in his work for many years, he had been familiar with cell phone logs and car tracking data and the kind of things that can get someone caught for a crime like murder. They said you use these in your practice when you would sue a UPS driver or sue someone over a car accident. You use these kinds of data points to prove someone's guilt or liability. And now these are the exact things that prosecutors are pointing to and saying, look, you were you were driving at this point on the road shortly after the murders. You were, making these calls. And, I think one reason this case has been has generated so much interest and attention is that there's 2 competing versions here, basically. And, in Alex Murdaugh's version, he is a victim in all of this. His family was murdered, and now he's on trial and says he didn't do it. But if the prosecutors are right and Alex did this, then it is an incredibly calculated crime, because you have him moments after the murders making a series of calls to family members, to his surviving son, and calling them just to create an alibi if the prosecutors are right.
We're talking about Alex Murdaugh, the prominent South Carolina lawyer charged with murdering his wife and son in South Carolina. Now, Blake, what's your take on that? What are your thoughts about him being a lawyer and how that might affect his ability to kind of get his perspective across in this case?
Oh, I think that's absolutely something that the prosecution is leaning really heavily on. Not only are they saying that he is a lawyer, he understands how the law works, and he's been in the courtroom, but as you said, his family is prominent. His great-grandfather was a solicitor for the Hampton County, Carlton County area. His grandfather was solicitor. His father was solicitor. So for 80 years, essentially a little bit over, up until very recently, a Murdaugh was, taking those big cases in the area. Everybody down here knows who the Murdaughs are. I've heard a lot of different opinions that folks have about them. But again, he's a successful lawyer. He didn't say so on the stand, but he wins cases. He's earned a lot of money through his practice. And we've heard several witnesses from his law firm testify that, yes, Alex Murdaugh understood how to play the emotions of the case and how to build great relationships with people. And that's something the prosecution has come back to repeatedly, that this guy is somebody who understands how to do this, how to go on the witness stand, and how to connect with a jury.
Now, Blake, you cover news in South Carolina, and so you're there. You're there beyond this case, and I want to ask you what kind of feeling are you getting from the community so far? Do most people think he did it? Obviously, he's innocent until proven guilty in the eyes of the law, but people talk all the time, and you talk to people, as you go on your way about your day. What are most people saying?
A couple of the conversations that have stuck with me the most, and on the first day of the trial, I spoke with a woman and who had lived in Carlton County. She told me for about 50 years. She was a lifer in the area, and she said that, yeah, I knew the Murdaughs dating back a very long time, and at least from her account that she gave to me, she said people have known or have suspected that the Murdaughs were a little shady for a very long time. Now, I don't know how true that is for obviously the people who've come before Alex Murdaugh. I can't speak to that, but that is something that a local at least had told me. Another one didn't share that same sentiment, but both of them, from those conversations I had that first day, agreed that they thought he was guilty. I cannot speak for, obviously the folks on the jury who are going to have that ultimate say.
Sure.
But I can say those two locals certainly thought so. And from, I know the Law & Crime Network YouTube channel has its live stream, and they'll run a poll every couple of minutes. And it seems like a very large segment of the public who are tuning into that live stream seem to think Alex Murdaugh is guilty. But there's the obvious issue that there's not a lot of hard physical evidence placing him at the scene, and the motive the state has gone with is a little bit weak.
Okay, so what motive is the state going with? I want to follow up on that real quickly.
Yeah, most of the prosecution's argument so far has been Alex Murdaugh was tied up in a lot more than just this murder case. He has a bevy of financial crimes, which he's admitted to now on the stand, that stretch back years, over a decade, where he was taking money, settlement money, from the clients he was representing, and he was taking on the order of millions of dollars from some of these larger cases that he was not owed. And so now his law firm has had to track back through the clients he represented and pay that money back and set those accounts right. So the state is saying all of this was catching up with him. We know that on the morning that the murders took place, Murdaugh was confronted by his law firm's CFO, and she had come to him and said, hey, I have reason to believe that you have taken she was confronting him about a specific case that he had worked that January, and she came out and told him, hey, I think you took this, and I need some proof that you didn't. Now, that conversation we've heard was interrupted because that morning Alex Murdaugh got a phone call, and he learned that his father was terminal and that he would not live for much longer. And his father did die on June 10th, I believe, so about 3 days after the murders. So for a while, that went away. But the state has said this intricate financial house of cards that Alex Murdaugh has built up, was about to come crumbling down, and they suspect that he committed these murders to get the heat off of him, get the pressure off of him, which people have a hard time believing that is the length that he would go to just to push these crimes, at least the discovery of these crimes, back a couple of months, because he was obviously later confronted with the same things and he didn't have a way out.
We're speaking to Hilton Head Island reporter with the Hilton Head Island Packet, South Carolina, Blake Douglas, and national reporter at the New York Times, Nicholas Bogle-Burrows. So we're speaking about the Alex Murdaugh case in which a South Carolina lawyer is charged with murder. And today he took the stand for the second day in a row in his own defense. He faced intense questions from the prosecution, and you mentioned that, Nicholas. So I wanted to ask you, do you think his testimony so far has helped him or hurt him?
It's a great question. No one knows what the 12 people who will decide this case think, but I think it's definitely helped and hurt him. I think the legal experts we talked to today, they will always say that taking the stand as a defendant is an incredibly risky thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You risk being asked about all kinds of things. You risk perjuring yourself. But the reason I think that Alex had to take the stand was because he had said for 20 months since these murders that he had maintained that he had never been at the crime scene with his wife and son, the victims, that night. And what prosecutors showed with a video at trial is they showed a video that his son had taken minutes before the murders that captured Alex Murdaugh's voice in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And so that huge lie that he had told, he needed to explain that. I don't know, I think it would have been hard for the jury to understand if he had not at least given them some kind of explanation. So when he took the stand, his lawyer, the first question they asked him were, did you kill your wife? Did you kill your son? He said, no, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing they asked him is, were you down at the kennels last night? And he said, yes, I was. I lied to investigators. I was paranoid that they would think I was a suspect, and I'm sorry I did that. Who knows, if jurors are gonna buy that or not. But I think he did need to come up with some kind of explanation to get around that lie that he had told for so long.
But you said it helped him and it hurt him. In what way did it help him?
Well, I think just giving the jurors something to latch on to
Okay.
explain that lie, because if he had not given them some kind of reason why he lied, then I think the jurors would have looked at the case and said, you say you're never at the crime scene, your voice is captured there moments before the murders. That is a much more difficult case than someone who says, I did lie, here's why I lied, but I promise you I left before the murders took place. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, with him having admitted to it and what you described as a huge lie, and with as Blake said, him having confessed already on the stand to committing multiple crimes, I feel like it makes it a lot easier to believe that he did do it if this person not only is a confessed criminal, even though he hasn't been convicted of those crimes, and he's lying about his whereabouts. I feel like that's the biggest lie that people who commit murders tell. I wasn't there that night when they actually were. But I mean, where do you see this trial going from here? I mean, are we anywhere near a conclusion? Are we going to be at this for another month, or what are you thinking here, Nicholas?
Yeah, we are getting to the end of this trial, so it sounds like we could wrap up. The trial could wrap up as soon as Tuesday or Wednesday, and then it'll be so. The defense expects to call maybe 4 more witnesses on Monday. Then the prosecution is going to call, it sounds like, a couple more final witnesses, and we don't know who exactly those will be. But and then there will be closing arguments, which could be really important in this case. It's the moment in which both sides get to take all the evidence that we've heard over 5 weeks of trial. I mean, this has been a really long trial with a lot of different evidence, and the jurors in that courtroom are not taking notes. So I actually really have a hard time understanding how they're keeping track of everything. As someone who's typing away at my laptop every day.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, do you think do jurors normally take notes in a situation like this?
So it varies a lot by state. My understanding is that generally in South Carolina they don't, but that there are judges who sometimes allow it, or if jurors will ask for it, that they will allow it. But it just goes to the point that the closing arguments are so much more important, because that's the time when the prosecution, the defense get up in front of the jury and they try to weave all the things that they've presented over many weeks together. And basically jurors are sitting there and will have to decide which version they think is more credible, or more accurately, if the prosecution has proved its case beyond a reasonable doubt.
All right, last question for you both. What has been the most striking part of this case thus far? Let's start with you, Blake.
Yeah, for me, at least as far as the difficulty of the state proving their case, is that we still have never recovered any murder weapons. These killings, we have heard, at least the state has argued, took place very in quick succession to each other. Paul Murdaugh was killed with a shotgun, where Maggie Murdaugh was killed with an assault rifle, a .300 blackout assault rifle. So I can understand some jurors looking at that lack of evidence that actually puts Alex Murdaugh at the scene, at least as the killer, with any kind of weapon, let alone two separate weapons, and saying, well, I don't necessarily think it would be difficult for a juror to say it seems very hard for this man to go down there with two separate large weapons and commit these murders back to back. Now, they've also done a good job of getting Alex Murdaugh up on the stand and having him admit over and over, I am a liar. I have lied to my family, my clients. I've lied to the people who are closest to me in my life. So it will be the weight of this guy's word, who has said that he's lied to everybody in his life, versus that lack of evidence that the state has never recovered.
All right, I've got 30 seconds here, Nicholas. What's been the most striking thing to you about the trial so far?
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many, and I think Blake makes a great point. I think one thing that's just come up in recent days that was really striking was the amount of privilege that Alex Murdaugh enjoyed throughout his life. He was, a volunteer prosecutor because his father, grandfather, great-grandfather were all prosecutors. He carried around a badge, even though he didn't really do much work for the office, maybe just in case he got pulled over. That kind of thing is been striking to me.
All right, national reporter at the New York Times, Nicholas Bogle-Burrows, and Hilton Head Island reporter with the Hilton Head Island Packet in South Carolina, Blake Douglas. Thank you so much for your time, and continue the great work. Really appreciate you both.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, take care, guys. When we come forward, we're going to be bringing back entrepreneur, educator, and motivational speaker Danny Griffin and professor at San Jose State University, Dr. Sean Fletcher, to discuss some things that I saw in sports today. In particular, Chad Ochocinco living at the Bengals facility for 2 years when he first joined the team. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Areva time is the right time. More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Mike Island, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. More needs to be done to bring down inflation. That's what President Biden said after a key inflation measure watched by the Federal Reserve came in hotter than expected. However, the president noted the unemployment rate has hovered at or near a 50-year low, and take-home pay has gone up. There are still many people across the country with no power after a brutal winter storm. That includes more than 700,000 in Michigan. This comes as a massive winter storm is slamming Southern California, bringing freezing temperatures, snow, and ice to areas used to warm weather all year round. Figures show sales of new single-family homes rose 7.2% in January to an annual rate of 670,000 units. Industry experts caution that rising mortgage rates could dampen the trend. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Island from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
In Glendale on the 2 northbound, right after Mountain Street, got a disabled vehicle and the center lane is blocked. In Hollywood, 101 northbound at Western Avenue, got a brand new wreck blocking the left lane. It's heavy from Santa Monica Boulevard. Westlake Village, 101 southbound before Lindero Canyon Road, got a crash in the center divider. Sun Valley on the 5 northbound at Sheldon Street, that flooding still has the 4 left lanes blocked. And the Grapevine is still closed, the 5 northbound and southbound.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. Visit jpmorganchase.com/racial equity and get the tools to help reach your financial goals.
Want to save 50% on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters with free shipping and prices less than big box retailers. And right now, save 50% off any order during Blindster's extended President's Day sale. Hurry, sale ends March 1st. Blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
NBA Nation will be focused on Crypto.com Arena tonight to see Russell Westbrook's debut with the Clippers. The Clippers play Sacramento, the number 3 team in the Western Conference. The Dodgers play their first spring training game tomorrow against the Milwaukee Brewers in Phoenix. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough Saturday night at 7 here on KBLA Talk 1580 for Out of Bounds. After a sluggish All-Star weekend and more players sitting out games, is the NBA beginning to have a major image problem? We'll deal with that tomorrow night. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
Aaron at Original Taco Pete's. Come in today for our tasty seasoned black taco. We're at 3272 West Slauson off Crenshaw, or call 323-348-4441.
This is a rather bold pronouncement, but we think we can back it up. If you come across a radio frequency anywhere putting more variety and more diversity on the air than KBLA Talk 1580, we sure would like to hear about your discovery. You got to have vision. You can search, but we are confident that you won't find more shows covering more topics, hosted by a more diverse and inclusive lineup of talkers than the squad we have assembled here at KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the time, brothers. This is the time.
We've got something for everybody. That's right. Health and healing, history and humor, issues and events, empowerment and entertainment, all in one station.
What's really going on? Free enterprise, you dig?
KBLA Talk 1580. Yes. Oh yeah. We got a lot to talk about.
King Kong ain't got on me.
This Sunday, February 26th from 12 to 5 p.m., Debbie Allen is hosting a free community block party. Enjoy free carnival rides, games, and dance classes. It's all happening Sunday at the Debbie Allen Dance Academy on Washington Boulevard from Western to St. Andrews. Visit DebbieAllenDanceAcademy.com for more information.
Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited black newspaper in the state of California with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the latest news on African American communities of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
KBLA Talk 1580 would like to thank all of the businesses that tune into KBLA at work. We celebrate you, your calls to the station, and your overall support. To show our appreciation, we would like to treat your office to lunch for 10, sponsored by John O'Groats family-owned restaurant and johnogroats.us. Open the KBLA Talk 1580 app or log on to KBLA1580.com to submit your office to be selected for our Office of the Week. We know you're just like our staff, putting in many hard, smart working hours per week. We just want to say thank you, and we appreciate you. You and your staff deserve lunch on us. Enter your office to win lunch for 10 and be highlighted on KBLA Talk 1580 as our Office of the Week. Open the KBLA app or log on to KBLA1580.com to enter your office today to become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. Sponsored by John O'Groats family-owned restaurant and johnogroats.us. Become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 community call to action.
Tune in to More Than That with Gia Peppers live this Sunday at 4 p.m. or wherever you listen to podcasts. This episode of More Than That is brought to you by Charmin, on a mission to provide a better bathroom experience for us. Charmin, enjoy the go.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Welcome back to the Friday edition of Areva Martin in real time. I'm Avi Bernard. I will be with you every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. We are joined now again by Danny Griffin, who is an entrepreneur, educator, and motivational speaker, and also former collegiate basketball player, and Dr. Sean Fletcher of San Jose State University. I'm so glad you both were able to make the time to stick around, because there were some stories we didn't get a chance to finish discussing in the first hour that I really wanted to touch on, and mostly this story about Chad Johnson, a.k.a. Chad Ochocinco, and he apparently said he saved money by living inside the Cincinnati Bengals stadium for 2 years when he first got into the league and was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. And, you know, if you follow Chad Ochocinco, then you know that he's a frugal person, that he, frugality is his thing. Thriftiness is his thing. He's very open about that, but this is a whole different level, and I just wonder, he talks about, what do I need? What else do I need to do? I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to get acclimated. I don't need to spend this money that I'm just earning. Dr. Fletcher, what do you think about this story? I mean, you are a sports expert. You do a lot of work with sports and as they relate to society, and athletes have this thing where they, as soon as they get on, they spend money, they buy houses, cars, chains, all the things that a lot of us would probably buy if we just got a large sum of money. But what do you think about this this new revelation about Chad Johnson?
Well, I think this story, and I have to preface it by, while Chad Johnson, I think he's going by Johnson again. I think he dropped the Ocho. But at least I hope he has. But this story about Chad, now, while the bigger story is financial literacy and responsibility, he has known to be a little hyperbolic. So I've been in a number of stadiums. If you've ever been in the bowels of especially the old stadium he was in, he wasn't in Jerry's World down in Dallas. Doubt very seriously if he stayed there 100%. But the bigger story of it all, I spent a number of years working for the NFL in player personnel, in scouting. And I got a chance to see firsthand, and unfortunately I was part of those who may have watched Hard Knocks, or you've been familiar with the Turk, the person who grabbed players' playbooks and said, "Come see the coach."
Yeah,
when they were about to be cut. I was that guy.
Really?
That role.
I did not know that about you, Dr. Fletcher. Wow.
Different conversation for a different day. But that was a past life. That was a past life of mine. And in all seriousness, I got to see the thrill of a player achieving his dream, and also the agony, and also, quite honestly, the disappointment and shock of a player realizing that not only their dream was likely ending for either our franchise, I work for Washington, either our franchise and potentially their NFL dreams may have been ending. Oftentimes at the same time, they realized those checks were stopping too. And they realized that no one really told them what financial responsibility and literacy really meant. It was always couched, whether it was the Rookie Symposium, whether it was the NFLPA, whether it was other sort of, we'll put it here and you take advantage of it if you want. It wasn't embedded in the understanding and learning curve of these young rookies who are brought in. And again, I don't want you to point to the first rounders, the second rounders, those who are going to get the benefit of the doubt and at least get to year two.
At least.
I'm talking about the guys who fill out the back end of the roster, who were coming in not fully knowing that the average lifespan career of an NFL player is under 3.5 years. And with that, that also means that you're not making millions of dollars filling out the back half of that roster. So when you would see these kids come in and they would make a check and they would give it right back at the store. And you would never hear, and I applaud him. He's one of my favorite players, most eccentric guy out there. Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch said it best. Effectively, his de facto retirement speech, when he was about to walk off, he made a point of jumping back at the podium and said to y'all players out there, he said, protect your mentals and protect your chicken. And everybody laughed at it. But those were two salient points that when he was talking about protecting your money, and Marshawn's another NFL player who is known for having stashed away the majority of his earnings, and he made a lot of money.
Yeah, he did.
The takeaway is financial literacy and financial responsibility. And I don't see the NFL doing enough in that area to embed it, not just tell it and promote it, embed it so these players are coming in eyes wide open, knowing the fragility of the lifespan of an NFL player, but also the thresholds you have to hit where your pensions are vested and not. Many of these kids are leaving these rosters with less than they came with because they took out loans and they got debt and they took out all of these different flyers that people will gladly give them while you are on an NFL roster. But as soon as you're no longer on that roster, they're coming to collect. And I saw too many of those situations driving a kid back to Dulles Airport so they could get right back on the same plane that brought them to their dream. They had to go now find a job. And that was the hard part about it, that when I come back to it, this type of case with Chad and Beast Mode, it points to financial literacy, which is an issue, a bigger issue in our community. But just to leave it to sport, it's certainly an issue in the NFL.
Man, I love the way you put that. That is, I mean, of course, if you're an NFL player, you can have a 10-year career, and that's considered a long career in the NFL. Most players don't reach that many years of NFL service time. So you can play 10 years and you're still a young man, maybe 31, 32 years old. And so most of them are going to have to get jobs anyway, but it's a much different situation getting a job if you have a nice cushion, if you have some investments, if you have, your home taken care of, if you have stashed, some even if you're making league minimum, you can still set yourself up for a few years at least, and make some investments and make some plays, and so you don't have to struggle. But wow, man, just that experience you had, that I felt that one, and and that leads me to Danny, you've had a lot of experience in the basketball world and with college basketball, and guys going to the NBA, and we hear these stories about Allen Iverson going broke, and he has $200 million in career earnings, and Antoine Walker, formerly of the Celtics, although anyone who plays for the Celtics is morally broke anyway, he has $108 million in career earnings, and he went broke. And Latrell Sprewell, $100 million, Vin Baker, $100 million, Sean Kemp, $90 million. All these guys are rumored to have gone broke. So is there first of all, Danny, I want to give you a chance to say what you thought about this Chad Johnson story, but then your experience with college basketball players getting any kind of exposure to that financial literacy that Dr. Fletcher mentioned.
Well, that was my job at University of Connecticut. I was the director of player development, which is strictly developing the student athlete holistically, getting them prepped for life. I created a curriculum. I was trained by several individuals in the NBA, Dr. Janice Hilliard, among several others, and Dr. Cooper, who was a professor of sports management at University of Connecticut at the time. So we had to come up with not only financial literacy, because my thing is you need to know vocabulary. Mm-hmm. You can tell somebody about a bank account, about IRAs, about retirement, all this stuff, but if you don't understand the verbiage, if you can't comprehend the vocabulary, how are you going to act it out? Now you're doing what somebody else tells you. Then you're a puppet, you're a pawn. Right now, the state of the athlete is very fragile. It's very fragile. You have to have a plan once you retire, but you also have to have a plan as you're playing the sport. Mm-hmm. And that's what Dr. Fletcher was stating. Vested interest in the NFL, was it 3 years? It's 3 years.
Yep.
So let's just say one of my former student athletes that I coached, I don't want to say his name, played 1 year in the NFL. He's a practice player.
NFL or NBA?
NFL.
Okay.
He was a practice player. Then he got assigned to the team. He played 1 year, wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
That money, he only got a percentage of that money. He didn't even get the pension.
Mm.
So imagine if he would got the pension, what is it, $200,000 or $300,000? And then you only get a percentage of that for your pension. So even if you play 3 years, you don't get that money until a certain age, and then it's not that much money.
Mm-hmm.
What if you live in Los Angeles? What if you live in San Francisco? So now you have to move and beat to somebody else's drum. Once again, now you have to live where your money allows you to live. But it might not be the best place for your family. It might not be the best place for an African-American male with your background.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So once again, how you move is very important. And let's just be honest. It's the reason why they're clocking 40 times and not going over financial literacy. It's the reason why you're in a weight room more than a classroom. It's the reason why you got all these athletic trainers out there all over Los Angeles trying to pass people the ball. Grown men, as opposed to developing them holistically. It's a reason for that. All you're doing is continuing this trail of having pawns and puppets. That's why we got to create leaders of men. I'm an ex-athlete. Nobody showed me how to own a Wingstop. Nobody showed me how to buy a property. I had to go seek the knowledge.
And most people don't do that.
No, they're trying to seek fame and glory
Yeah.
through social media and through television, and that's wrong.
Man, I got the right dudes on here today.
Yes, you do.
When we when we come forward, we've covered some heavy stuff today. I want to have a little bit of fun. I want to get your take on just a couple of topics in the NBA. Westbrook to the Clippers. Your predictions on perhaps on who's going to come out of the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
New assembly bill would ban the use of police canines for arrest and crowd control. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Lendistry. Assemblymember Corey Jackson introduced AB 742 that would prohibit the use of police canines for arrests, apprehensions, and crowd control. The use of police canines, supporters of the legislation say, is a throwback to the darkest days of legal slavery, Jim Crow segregation, and a reminder of America's history of racial bias, aggression, and violence against Black people and people of color. What say you, KBLA listeners? Let us know at KBLA 1580 on all social media channels.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today. Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
Because of this conference, you're about to move up the ladder.
Calling all business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs. Operation 10 City Greatness Unlocked is coming to your city and Los Angeles. Your time is now. Join your host, Dr. Bill Winston, and keynote speaker, celebrity life strategist, and author Tim Story at the Los Angeles Convention Center on Saturday, February 25th. This once-in-a-lifetime opportunity will help you to discover the supernatural blueprint for the life that you are destined to live. Be a part of a live audience where entrepreneurs compete for cash prizes, make connections, and network in pursuit of your next opportunity. Register today for free at OperationTenCity.com, OperationTenCity.com, or by calling 1-866-816-4653. That's 1-866-816-4653.
You're about to be able to wipe out, eradicate this poverty in a certain section of the cities overnight.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions.
Domestic and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Even a single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take all kinds of forms: psychological, emotional, physical, economic, and sexual abuse. Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. Genesee also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal help. If you need services or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 800-479-7328. That's 800-479-7328. Or visit genesee.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
There's no time like the present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. It's the Friday edition of Areva Martin in real time. I'm Avi Bernard. Andy said, "Put them bones on, man." That's my producer, Andy. The ladies call him Candy Andy, but that's another conversation for another day. He said pause. So yeah, so I couldn't have y'all on here without just asking you about a couple things relating to sports right now. Just that we can have just a couple minutes of fun here. Dr. Fletcher, you're in the Bay Area. Are you a Warriors fan?
I am a Lakers fan.
Woo! Okay. See, I was getting ready to say that everyone has their flaws, but I can't use that one against you. But are you from LA?
Double crossed you.
Are you from LA?
No, I am from St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, okay. And St. Louis does not have a basketball team.
We do not.
And so growing up in St. Louis, you were just attracted to Showtime and Magic and all them.
You know what, man? Full disclosure, and it's going to really make me feel old, but I grew up, like many in the Midwest, a Michael Jordan fan, and the Bulls came with Michael Jordan. I was a Michael Jordan fan, not a Bulls fan. And once I got on the sort of team fandom side of it, it was Kobe and Shaq were in it. And the funny part that makes me feel old is that's so long ago, I can't even be viewed as a homer. I've been a Lakers fan for like 25 years.
Yeah.
I'm that old. And I'm not even that old.
Hey, no, I mean, you and me both. I mean, it's crazy when you think about their three-peat was 20 years ago, man. You think about something like that, that is just crazy. But I wanted to ask y'all, since we're all, and Danny, I haven't asked you, are you a Laker fan, Clipper fan? What is it?
I'm a Laker fan, but I was a ball boy for the Clippers in the 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Okay, but you're a Laker fan.
Of course.
Okay, so see, even being a Clippers employee couldn't make you stay with them. I don't blame you for that one. But I want to ask y'all, Russell Westbrook just got traded to the Jazz. He was bought out, and then now he's signing with the Clippers. Good move or bad move, Dr. Fletcher?
It is a head scratching bad move, because last time I checked, you still got Norman Powell, you still got Terrence Mann, you just picked up Bones Highland. It's like that Spider-Man meme. They're all pointing at each other saying, we all do the same thing. So you tell me where he's going to fit.
What about you, Danny? What do you think? Good move, bad move?
I like it from an off-the-court standpoint because he's from Los Angeles and he does a lot of good things for the community. But from a managerial standpoint, it's also a hair-scratcher. Anybody that knows basketball would say that because of the minutes and also the positions. But Lou is a player's coach, and he's an ex-player, so I'm sure he'll make it work.
But they lost. They got rid of John Wall. They got rid of Reggie Jackson. They don't really have a point. I mean, yeah, you mentioned Bones Highland and Terrence Mann. Those aren't really true guards, though. I mean, Russell Westbrook's more of a
Aaron
ball.
Gordon is like a 2. He's a combo. And he don't really attack.
They're trying to force him at the 1, though.
Yeah, he's not a 1, though. He's slow and he's older. Nobody really attacks the basket. I mean, Gordon he's almost retired. So Westbrook attacked the basket,
All right,
and his
y'all.
energy. He has a lot of energy, right?
He has this seemingly endless supply of energy. I
Yeah,
don't know where
and
he
his,
gets it
and his
from.
confidence and his passion, and I think that may fuel the locker room.
And you know, and I love Westbrook. Like you mentioned, Danny. What he does for the community, he does not get enough credit for that.
No,
but he turns the ball over about 8 or 9 times. Turns the ball over 8 or 9 times a game.
Well, he did in that system, but 2017 we wasn't even talking about his stats. Ain't that crazy?
Well, let's
think
talk
about that.
Let's talk about this though. Let's talk about the Lakers now. They beat the Warriors by 13 last night. They were up by 28 at one point, and then the benches were cleared out. The Lakers are still currently in 13th place. How high do the Lakers get? Do they reach the play-in, the playoffs, or let's start with that. Do they reach the play-in and or the playoffs, Dr. Fletcher?
Play-in, trying to get to that 6 seed. There's not enough runway left. I mean, there's a little over 20 games left after last night. There's not enough runway. If the All-Star break was truly the halfway point of the season, I would say yes, but it's not. There's not enough time.
Well, when they get in the play-in, do you think they will get into the playoffs from there?
Yes, I do.
All right, Danny, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. This is Los Angeles. This is Hollywood. You have the proclaimed king of the NBA at this present time and era, so of course.
All right, so who ultimately comes out of the West, Dr. Fletcher?
You're gonna put me to that, huh?
Hey, just it's wide open. What are your whatever your opinion is.
I don't want to go with the recency bias, but I'm gonna have to say Phoenix.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to.
Okay, Griff, what you got?
Man, I'm probably gonna roll with the Nuggets.
The Nuggets, okay.
I would say the Grizzlies, but it's so volatile, and I think the maturity level is not.
Oh
there.
no, they lost.
Yeah.
As soon as John Morant said, "I'm fine in the West," that you already knew they weren't coming out.
Maturity
the West.
level, they don't have veterans.
They acting like they've won anything. They haven't.
They're in a
won
video,
anything.
rap video. Actually, they want to be popular.
All right, real quick, who comes out of the East, Dr. Fletcher?
I'm going with Milwaukee. You're not stopping the Greek Freak, and I'm going to say that they're going to take it too.
Okay, and Griff.
Celtics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
That's not a bad pick.
It's not a bad pick. It's not a bad pick, but Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown,
Well,
they go cold a little bit.
You have more tools and resources, and you have an entire community that's been there. It's a culture. Milwaukee is a small market. They've never been there, but
they won the
recently.
championship.
Yeah, but they don't have enough pieces. One guy, you depend on one guy, he out, it's over.
Well, I think Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton might have a little something to say about that, but we're out of time, guys.
You may have to have us back in June.
We absolutely will. We'll be having you back in June and before June, and y'all ain't asking me. I'm picking the Lakers to take the West. Okay, I don't care, man. I know it's unlikely. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna do it because I think this team is looking
popular.
It is. It's Homer, but I'm admitting to that.
Loyalty is not dead.
Les Brown is continuing his radio residency today with You Gotta Be Hungry. Les Brown is coming up next. Thank you for hanging out with us here on Areva Martin in Real Time. Dr. Fletcher, thank you. Danny Griffin, thank you. We'll talk to you both very soon. I'm Avi Bernard, and I am gone.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Island, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. More needs to be done to bring down inflation. That's what President Biden said after a key inflation measure watched by the Federal Reserve came in hotter than expected. However, the president noted the unemployment rate has hovered at or near a 50-year low and take-home pay has gone up. There are still many people across the country with no power after a brutal winter storm. That includes more than 700,000 in Michigan. This comes as a massive winter storm is slamming Southern California, bringing